Before we begin, I want to warn you. This story contains mature themes. It deals with the challenges of new motherhood, family relationships, and infidelity. If these topics make you uncomfortable, you might want to stop watching now. Have you ever felt like you were just background noise? Like no matter what you do, you'll never be the one people notice? That's me. Lena Parker. 18 years old. The younger sister. The forgotten one. The overshadowed one. I wasn't the golden child. That was Olivia Parker. 22. In college. Everyone's favorite. My parents worshipped her. Teachers adored her. Even strangers couldn't help but love her. She had this way about her, graceful, composed, like she never even had to try. Meanwhile, I was the one who had to fight for scraps of attention. I didn't hate her. Not exactly. I hated what she had. The effortless way people respected her. The way she fit into every space so easily, while I always felt like I was forcing my way in. And more than anything, I hated how she took things for granted. Especially him. Elijah Carter. 22. Her boyfriend. The first time I saw him, I knew he was trouble. Not because he was some bad boy with a dangerous edge. He wasn't. He was the opposite. Confident. Smooth. The kind of guy who always knew exactly what to say. He had this presence. He didn't have to demand attention. He just had it. And the way he looked at me, that was the first time I ever felt seen. I was fresh out of high school, stuck in this weird in-between phase where everyone was asking, "What's next?" And I had no answers. College? Maybe. Work? Sure. But the truth was, I felt lost. Floating. Unimportant. Olivia, on the other hand, had it all mapped out. She was studying business, had a solid job, was already talking about moving in with Elijah. She had a plan, a future, and of course, perfect relationship. At least that's what everyone thought. But I saw the cracks. Olivia was always too busy, too distracted, too tired to even text Elijah back. She didn't even try anymore. It was like she assumed he'd always be there, no matter how little effort she put in. And Elijah? He noticed. He started lingering a little longer when he came over, chatting with me while Olivia was in the shower, sending playful texts, harmless on the surface, but layered with something deeper. First, I told myself it was nothing, just a little fun. But then, one night everything shifted. Olivia had fallen asleep on the couch, right in the middle of a movie. Elijah and I were still awake, sitting in the dim glow of the TV. I was on the floor, leaning back against the couch, legs stretched out. And then, it happened. His foot brushed against mine. Just a slight touch. A second too long. I didn't move. Neither did he. My heart pounded. But I forced myself to stay still. Act normal. When I finally glanced up at him, he was already watching me. Something passed between us. Unspoken. Heavy. Electric. Neither of us said a word. But that was the moment everything changed. If you're still with me, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like this. Trust me, there's so much more to uncover. Because the thing about playing with fire, you don't realize how deep you're in until you're already burning. I should have stopped. I should have ignored the way Elijah looked at me when Olivia wasn't paying attention. I should have brushed off the way his texts started lingering. How he always seemed to reply a little too quickly, like he was waiting for me to say something. But I didn't. It started small. A teasing comment here. A lingering glance there. Then, one afternoon, Olivia was in the kitchen, making coffee. Elijah and I sat in the living room. She was barely paying attention to us. Head down, scrolling through her phone. Elijah had his arm stretched across the back of the couch, just barely behind my shoulder. Close, but not touching. I leaned, just slightly, felt the warmth of his skin near mine. My pulse quickened. I turned to him and smirked. You know, you don't have to pretend to be the good guy all the time. His brows lifted. What's that supposed to mean? I shrugged. Just saying, you seem to like the attention. His lips parted slightly, like he wanted to say something. But then, babe, do you want sugar in yours? Olivia's voice called out from the kitchen. Elijah snapped his head toward her. Yeah, sure. He looked back at me. I could see the hesitation in his eyes. Like he knew this was dangerous. Like he was fighting it. But he didn't move away. Neither did I. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every glance, every almost touch. I reached for my phone. My fingers hovered over Elijah's name. This was stupid, reckless, but I wanted to see how far I could push him. I opened my camera, angled it just right, and hit record. Just a few seconds. Just enough. Then, I sent it. Elijah didn't reply right away. Minutes passed. Then an hour. I told myself I had imagined the tension, that he was probably asleep, that he'd wake up, see the message, and pretend it never happened. Then, my phone vibrated. One new message from Elijah. I swallowed hard, my fingers suddenly shaking as I tapped to open it. His reply was short. "Lena, what the hell are you doing?" I smirked. My heart pounded. He had seen it, and he hadn't blocked me. I typed back, "Did you like it?" A long pause. Then finally, "I shouldn't have watched it." But he did. And that was all I needed to know. Over the next few days, our messages got bolder. What started as teasing turned into late-night texts that lasted for hours. He told me things he shouldn't. How Olivia barely touched him anymore. How he felt like he was just another part of her routine. He never said it outright. But I felt it. The frustration. The hunger. And I knew I could be the one to give him what she wouldn't. I stared at my phone, debating. Should I send another video? I shouldn't. I knew I was pushing my luck. But I did it anyway. This time I didn't wait for him to reply. I just set my phone down. Laid back. Feeling that rush. That thrill. Knowing he was watching. Then, not even 5 minutes later, my bedroom door slammed open. Olivia. Her face was twisted in fury. Her phone clutched in her hand. My stomach dropped. "Are you serious, Lena?" She screamed. She shoved the phone in my face. And there it was. My video. Playing on her screen. I sat up. Pulse hammering in my ears. "Olivia, Shut up." She snapped. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Her voice cracked. Rage. Mixed with something else. Betrayal. Then, Elijah appeared in the doorway behind her. His face was pale. His eyes darted between us. But he didn't say a word. Olivia turned to him, shaking with anger. "You didn't even delete it?" He opened his mouth, closed it again. He looked guilty, ashamed, but not at me, at her. And in that moment I realized something. He wasn't angry that I sent the video. He was angry that he got caught. Olivia turned back to me, her fists clenched. "You're disgusting." I didn't flinch. I just stared at her. Because the truth? I didn't regret it. Not one bit. You ever reach a point where you stop caring about the consequences? Where the anger takes over? Where all that matters is making the other person hurt, just as much as they made you? That's where I was. Olivia humiliated me. She screamed at me, like I was the only one to blame. Like Elijah wasn't just as guilty. She made me feel small, insignificant, disposable. And I was done being the one left behind. So I did the one thing I knew would shatter her world. That night, Olivia locked herself in her room. I could hear her muffled sobs through the walls. Part of me expected Elijah to storm out, to leave and never come back. But he didn't. He stayed. And when I picked up my phone, hand still trembling with adrenaline, I knew he'd be checking his too. I typed the words without hesitation. "I'm horny and my sister is sent." The typing bubble appeared. Almost instantly. Then a second later I added, "Come f** me." This time, no hesitation. No waiting. 3 dots. Then one reply. "Where?" My lips curled into a smirk. I barely had to try. Elijah was already too far gone. Maybe he felt guilty. Maybe he wanted to prove something. Or maybe, deep down, he had always been waiting for an excuse. Either way, 15 minutes later, he was in the hallway. His footsteps light, cautious. The house was silent. Olivia's door still shut. I grabbed his wrist, pulled him into the bathroom. The second the door clicked shut behind us, Everything changed. The tension that had been simmering between us for weeks finally snapped. But it wasn't passion. It wasn't romance. It was anger, resentment, a twisted hunger for control. Didn't feel real. Not at first. My heart pounded so loud, I could barely hear my own breath. The cool bathroom tiles pressed against my back. The dim light casting shadows across Elijah's face. His hands were firm. His grip tight, like he was trying to ground himself. Trying to convince himself this wasn't a mistake. But we both knew it was. And that was the best part. Because mistakes can be erased. Regret can be hidden. But proof? Proof lasts forever. I reached for my phone. The screen glowed softly in the darkness. Elijah hesitated, his eyes flicking between my face and the device in my hand. He should have said no. He should have walked away. But instead, he just watched. And I hit record. It wasn't about Elijah. It never was. This was about Olivia. I wanted her to see it. To know that she lost. To know that, for once, I was the one in control. The rush was intoxicating. It wasn't just about what we were doing. It was about where we were doing it. In the same house. Where Olivia was crying herself to sleep. Where she thought she was safe. Where she thought she still had him. But she didn't. Because now he was mine. As soon as it was over, Elijah pulled away. His chest rising and falling rapidly. Reality crashed down around us. The adrenaline faded. Replaced by silence. And guilt. His face twisted into something unreadable. He ran a hand through his hair, avoiding my gaze. He exhaled sharply. This was a mistake. I tilted my head. Smirked. Was it? He didn't answer. I picked up my phone, still recording, and tapped the screen. Stop. The video saved. Instantly. I glanced up at Elijah. His jaw clenched. He knew what I was thinking, and he didn't stop me. I walked back to my room, my fingers hovering over Olivia's name. My heartbeat slowed. The rush settled into something else. Something deeper. I thought about every time she made me feel less. Every time she ignored me. Every time she acted like she was better than me. I thought about the way she screamed at me earlier. The way she looked at me like I was nothing. And then, I sent the video. She held up her phone. I'm sending the video. She gestured toward the rest of the house. To everyone we know. Everyone at school. Everyone at work. Then, she locked eyes with me. Let's see how much you love attention now. For the first time since this all started, panic flooded through me. Olivia, don't, I said quickly. Think about what you're doing. Oh, you want me to think? She snapped. Did you think before you and ruined my life? I swallowed hard. This was getting out of control. Olivia was hurt, furious, but she was also spiraling. And if she went through with this, if she actually sent that video, there'd be no coming back for any of us. Elijah took a step forward. Olivia, you don't want to do that. She scoffed. The hell I don't. No, you don't, he said, firmer this time. You send that. And it's not just her that gets dragged through the dirt. It's you. It's me. It's our whole kind of family. Olivia hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. Mom stepped in. Placed a hand on her arm. Olivia, sweetie, let's just take a breath. Olivia's shoulders shook. Her lips parted. Like she wanted to scream again. But she didn't. Because she knew. She knew that if she went through with it, she'd be burning herself too. But that didn't mean she forgave me. Not even close. She turned to me, voice barely above a whisper. I never want to see you again. The words sliced deeper than I expected. She shoved past me, stormed out of the room. Elijah followed. Not because she wanted him to, but because he had nowhere else to go. And then, it was just me, standing there, empty. I won, right? That's what I wanted. Then why did it feel like I had nothing left? You think you know what regret feels like. You think it's just guilt. Just that little voice in the back of your head, telling you that you messed up. But real regret? It's heavier than that. It doesn't just whisper. Crushes you. And once it settles in, there's no way to escape it. By the next morning, Olivia was gone. She didn't say a word, didn't scream, didn't throw another punch. She just packed her bags and left. Our parents tried to stop her, but she didn't care. She said she'd rather be homeless than breathe the same air as me and Elijah. And Elijah? She dumped him on the spot.
No final conversation.
No second chances. Just a cold hard. We're done. He tried to argue, tried to explain, but she wasn't listening anymore. Olivia was done being the fool. First, I told myself I didn't care. I had won, hadn't I? Olivia was out of my life. Elijah was free from her. But winning doesn't mean ***. When everyone around you looks at you like you're the villain. Because that's what I was now. By the end of the week, everyone knew. I don't know if Olivia told them, or if the rumor spread on its own. But it didn't matter. People whispered when I walked into a room. Old friends stopped texting back. Mom couldn't even look me in the eye. And Dad? He just shook his head every time he saw me. Like he was wondering where he went wrong. Like I was some kind of mistake. I thought Elijah would vanish too. But he didn't. 3 days after Olivia left, he texted me. One new message from Elijah. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting. Did I really want to open it? I did. I always did. I tapped the screen. Hey, can we talk? I exhaled sharply. Of course he wasn't reaching out because he missed me, or because he cared. He was reaching out because he had nowhere else to go. Olivia was gone. I was all he had left. The old me would have answered, would have fed off the attention, would have let him back in, would have let him use me all over again. But the old me didn't realize the truth. And the truth? He was never mine. Not really. Not in the way I wanted him to be. I wasn't special to him. I was just convenient, just like Olivia had been before me. And I wasn't going to be someone's backup plan. I locked my phone, and I never replied. Days blurred together. I didn't go out much, didn't talk to anyone, because every time I tried to act normal, I saw it, the video, not physically. I had deleted it from my messages, but it was still in my head. I used to love watching it, the thrill, the power, the proof that I had won. But now it made me sick, because it wasn't a victory. It wasn't proof of anything. It was a mistake I couldn't undo. But I could at least let it die. That night I sat on my bed, my phone in my lap. I pulled up my camera roll, scrolled down, and there it was, staring back at me. My finger hovered over it, just long enough for me to take one last look. Then, I pressed delete. The screen flickered. Are you sure you want to permanently delete this video? I inhaled deeply, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to relief. I hit yes. And just like that, it was gone. Winning didn't make me happy, but maybe letting go would. Either way, I want to hear what you think. Tell me, what would you do if your world fell apart like mine did? How would you move forward? Let me know in the comments. And if this story made you feel something, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.